The post 9/11 works in tiers, percentages. The way the VA determines what you are going to be receiving for your GI Bill is they're going to look at your DD 214 to see how much active duty time you served. So this goes to the same for reservists as well as active duty soldiers. So the way that you can best understand it, the easiest way to explain it is think about a staircase. So the very first step is 50%, the next one up is 60, then 70, 80, 90, and then 100. So how do you reach 100% of the active duty post 9/11 GI Bill? You serve 3 years active duty. So for active duty soldiers, as soon as you get in, you get your first duty station. Once you hit 90 days, now you're eligible to start using your GI Bill. However, I wouldn't recommend that because then you're going to lose out on thousands of dollars. You never want to start using it before you're at the 100% tier if you know for a fact that you're going to be doing 3 years active duty. So the best thing to do is just hold on to it. Just wait, be patient. If you are eager to start doing some college classes, use your TA. That's what it's there for. So with reservists, they have to go on orders to start building up their active duty time. So annual training doesn't count, your weekends month don't count, the NCO schools, basic AIT, all that stuff, none of that, anything for training doesn't count towards the post 9/11 GI Bill. You have to go on orders. National Guard knows that it's either through the governor or the president. With regular reservists, it's just the president. But they have to be like a deployment or some type of call to active duty where you're going to be receiving a DD 214. And that is your exit form, I guess you can say. It's the form that's going to show how much active duty you did to the VA when they go to determine how much they're going to give you. On the member 4, if you go to line 12 and then go down to section Charlie, that's where it's going to tell you your net time of active duty. And that's where you're going to be able to determine for yourself what tier you're at, what percentage you're at. So once you reach 3 years, that's when you have now served enough time to get the entire payout for the post 9/11 GI Bill for your tuition, for your BAH, MHA, whatever you want to call it, and your book stipend. The way it works is there's 3 pots of money. One goes to the school directly from the VA, and there's these conversations happening all the time to certify you as a student, either monthly or semesterly. And then they release your housing allowance to you once you have checked in with the VA. They're sending like a text now where you can just hit reply that you are, yes, still attending the school, and then that releases your housing allowance to you on a monthly basis. Typically, the schools are going to certify you on a semesterly basis. So you just kind of really don't have to really worry about that in the background. It happens between the school. It's not like the Montgomery GI Bill back in the day where you had to worry about payments being made to the university on behalf of the VA and you and so on. So that's one pot of money. One pot of money from the post 9/11 is going straight to the school to pay towards your tuition. Then there's the housing allowance. So that should be issued to you monthly. Right now, the online students, not campus students, but the online students are receiving $1,100 a month to do online classes. And then if you're going to campus, then there's going to be a calculation that they're going to look at, and it's going to be the zip code of the school, the living expenses in that area with a E5 with one dependent pay. So they'll determine that. And you can look that up, whatever college you're interested in, you can look them up in VA.gov to see how much their housing allowance is being paid out for that particular university you're interested in. And so when I was saying your housing is affected by your percentage, depending on how much active duty time you have under your belt, that's going to determine if you're going to get the full amount for housing or if you're going to get a percentage of that. So let's just say you're a reservist, you did a couple year-long deployments, and you're at 80% of the post 9/11. So the way the housing allowance works is you would get 80% of what the 100% tier would give you. That's both campus or online. So if campus, for example, is $2,250, like my university, for 100% tiered post 9/11 GI Bill students, if you're at 80%, you would get 80% of that $2,250. That's your housing allowance for campus. If you're online, then you would get $880 because $1,100 is 100% tier. So I hope that explains that well. Now, the book stipend is also the same way. It goes off your percentage, your tier. And so let's use 80% again as an example. If it's so $1,000 is what 100% tiered post 9/11 students get for books and supplies yearly. For you, if you're say 80%, then you would get $800. And depending on if you're at an accelerated school like ours or regular traditional school, is going to depend on how often they pay out that book stipend a little bit at a time for the year. They're not just going to throw you an $800 check or $1,000 check and say, here's the year's worth of books and supplies stipend. They're always going to trickle it out to you. For online students, for the university I'm at, they get about $100 a month if they're at the 100% tier. Let's just say 80%, they get about $80 a month until it reaches the maximum amount. So the maximum amount for 100% tier is $1,000, and then it stops. So on the same day every month, you're going to get a housing allowance and a book stipend if you're online. On campus, again with our university, we do it semesterally. So every 4 months, you're going to get a $300 to $400 check if you're 100% tier. I'm going to use that as an example. About $300 to $400 check, and that's going to be your books and supply stipend. So 2 deposits about every 4 months. Now, if you are going to a university, you're going to want to ask them if their books and supplies, anything you need, materials, software, whatever the case, is already included in tuition. Because if it is, like my university, it is. So that first pot of money that's going towards paying the tuition, since books and supplies are also included in that cost, the students that are using post 11 get to pocket their book stipend and just keep it for themselves. So that's kind of nice. So you're going to want to ask the university you're interested in if the cost of books and supplies is already included in tuition. That way, you know, do I spend this book stipend or do I hold on to it and wait because maybe I have to buy a $300 book, next semester or something. There is always 36 months for you to use for your GI Bill. So for any GI Bill, there's different versions of them. So in your lifetime as a veteran, you have 36 months. So wherever you go, just know that you have that many months to spend there at the university. So there are different GI Bills. I'm going to make different videos on each one of them to keep the videos nice and short. So if you want to ask me some questions about the post 9/11 under the comments for this video, please feel free. I'd love to help you out. I've been working at a university that is an accelerated university. That just means that a 4-year degree will only take you 1 year and 8 months to accomplish, because they squeeze everything together and they're not like stretching you out for 4 long years. The gen eds are like half of what a typical bachelor's degree is at a 4-year college. They don't have long summer breaks. It's just like 1 year and 8 months all the way through. You're done, you're out, you're working. So depending on the college you're going to is going to depend on how many months you're using, and you can kind of see more or less how much post 9/11 you're going to have left by the time. These are all questions you want to ask the admissions team when you go and call these universities. You're going to want to know some of this stuff up front. So with 100% post 9/11, that automatically qualifies you for the Yellow Ribbon program. So Yellow Ribbon is an extra VA program that any university in the country can be part of, but only 100% tiered post 9/11 students. Now, there is another way that you can get 100% to your post 9/11, and that is if you were medically discharged with service-connected disabilities, medically retired. You went through the board, they decided, yeah, you can't continue on your contract, so you can get out, and they medically discharge you. It doesn't matter if you served 90 days, you are automatically going up to that 100% tier for whatever happened to you during your time in service. So that's the second way you can get 100% to your post 9/11. Otherwise, you have to serve your time. So with Yellow Ribbon, if the university is accepting and is able to accept the GI Bill at their school, they have the option to opt into being a Yellow Ribbon university. Yellow Ribbon just is the best way to explain it. It's a matching program. So let me put it this way. Let's just say post 9/11 right now, it's like 27,000 something dollars towards your tuition. But the school you're going to, their tuition is up here. And you've got this like $10,000 remaining balance that post 9/11 isn't covering because it stopped here, because it only covers up to 27,000 whatever. So how are you going to pay for this? Well, typically, if the school is not Yellow Ribbon, they're going to be like, well, you're going to have to take out student loans to cover that. Your post 9/11 doesn't cover everything. But with the Yellow Ribbon school, they can decide how much Yellow Ribbon they want to be and how many students they want to give it to. So at my university, we used to be a $2,000 Yellow Ribbon school when they first got into the Yellow Ribbon program. So that meant for that $10,000 remaining balance, for example, that students had, the school would put in $2,000 towards that remaining balance after the GI Bill capped out. And then the VA matches whatever the school puts in. So then that student got another $2,000 on top of the $2,000 we put in. So now they have $4,000 extra on top of their GI Bill. And instead of owing $10,000, they owe $6,000. Hope that made sense. So when you are looking for universities, you're going to want to, and this is just my advice, you're going to want to look into universities that are 100% like unlimited Yellow Ribbon. And what that means is if your GI Bill caps out right here at 27 whatever dollars, and there's a $50,000 remaining balance, the school is always going to put in half because it's unlimited, doesn't matter. So they're going to put in half, 25,000. The VA is going to have to match that because of the Yellow Ribbon program. And so that $50,000 remaining balance off your tuition could be 100% paid for through the Yellow Ribbon program. So there are universities out there that offer unlimited Yellow Ribbon, also unlimited in the sense of they're not limiting how many students they're giving it to. So some schools, they'll say, well, we're just going to give it to 100 students this year, and they have to apply for it. Some universities like mine, it doesn't matter how many students have gotten it. Everyone gets it as long as they're at the 100% tier, like the VA requires, to get it. And it doesn't matter the balance that is owed after the GI Bill caps out, because they're going to put in half, the VA is going to match the half, and 100% of their tuition could be paid for. The advantage of an accelerated university, and I know that there are some people that hate private schools. However, the really cool thing about it is that with the private universities that are accelerated, that means that you can get a 4-year bachelor's, like in mine, you can get a 4-year bachelor's degree in less time. It's still 120 credit hours towards your bachelor's. It's a legitimate, accredited bachelor's of science or fine arts, whatever it is, but you're doing it in less time. You're cutting out all that summertime wait and semesterly starts, and you're cutting out a lot of gen eds. So that way the majority of your degree is actually what you're going to school for, and not just 2 years of just high school 13th and 14th grade all over again. So an accelerated university offers at least the veterans the opportunity to have 100% of their bachelor's paid for, and even their master's, because remember, you have 36 months of GI Bill to use. So that means that I'm using mine example because I work there every day and I know how they function. But we're not the only ones. So, you got to do your research. But a bachelor's in a year and 8 months, a 2-year master's in a year, that's 32 months. So you'll still have 4 months left over of your post 9/11 after you have completed a bachelor's and master's and can have all of that 100% paid for. Because it doesn't matter what you're going for or how much it costs. As long as the university is 100% unlimited yellow ribbon, as long as you're there within the 36 months of post 9/11 that you have, then all their tuition could be 100% paid for by those two programs working alongside each other. By the way, it's not post 9/11 and then yellow ribbon. The post 9/11 and yellow ribbon are working together the entire time. So yellow ribbon is picking up the tab every time your post 9/11 doesn't. So I have had plenty of students call in and say, hey, can you tell me how the yellow ribbon program works? Because I only have like 10 months left. And so I was thinking maybe I can use yellow ribbon after. It does not work that way. They work together at the same time. So there are other things that once you run out of GI Bill, there are other options. Again, I'm going to make a video for each and every benefit to try to keep everything short, because you imagine, as long as this is already me going over all these education benefits in one video would be nuts. So this is just post 9/11. So if you have questions about the active duty post 9/11 GI Bill, again, put your comments below. I'm doing this because I want to help you guys understand how these benefits actually work, because when you're out processing and they're just like wah, 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 the whole time. I had 3 days of out processing when I came back from Afghanistan, and I asked me if I remember anything. I don't. I just happened to be home and I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff. So it took me 12 years of doing this at the university that I'm at to be at the level that I'm at of understanding how these education benefits work, and it's updated constantly. So if you're getting advice from somebody that doesn't work with VA education benefits on a almost daily basis, all the information they're giving you could be completely outdated or just twisted up and wrong. So I just spoke to a colonel, actually, this is a lieutenant colonel or colonel, just last week. And I had to explain to him how his benefits work, because even he didn't know. And he was a pilot in the Air Force and everything. So it goes from private all the way up. So don't feel like, oh man, I feel dumb because I don't know any of this stuff. You are not alone. They don't make it very, very easy for you to retain this information. So if you have more questions, let me know. If you have like a very specific, particular situation, don't be afraid to ask me. I do this every single day at my day job constantly. So if you have specific questions, I'm sure I can help you. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.